until you get a graded paper back to get a full explanation of this. Okay, basically, I don't have points. People always ask me, how many points does this work? And I say, actually, I don't do by points, which is another thing about the grade book. I have to get it into my system. It's an average of all the grades you have, is what your grade is. The one thing, two things that you do need to know in here. One thing that academic writing is very heavy on as you go on from this class is research. Okay, we're going to end this class with a research paper because in 111, 1A, English 2, English 1B, you're going to do so many research papers that you're going to be expert at them. But at the end of this class, I have basically what is an introduction to a research paper. Okay, because that is so important, it's times 2. It's worth a double paper grade, okay, research paper. And don't worry, you will have, how many people have done a research paper before? Ever in high school, okay, or somewhere? Yeah, usually I find students haven't, or if they have, sometimes they say, yes, I have done one, but it turns out to not be what a college research paper requires. So it's an annoyance, it's a lot of work, but I think the introduction to it will really smooth your way for doing this in your other classes that you're going to need to do. Okay, that's one thing you need to know, how important the research paper is. The other thing is that there are 5 parts of the grade in this class. Okay, attendance is one part. All of the papers that you do, we're going to do like a paper every 2 weeks. All of your homework and quizzes, and then your journal. Because it's not a points class, this is one thing about this room. There's this noise over here because the mechanical room is here, and then there's the pump, so it's a little bit more noisy. But one of the reasons I moved is because it's always too hot. It's so hot. And now we have this, we could open this window. You must receive a passing grade on all 5 major sections. Has anyone ever had a class where you get like to the end and it's a point system and you say, okay, I need 1,000 points in this class, but 800 points is passing and the final is 200 points, so I don't need to take the final? Have you ever been in that situation? Yeah, so that's the difference. Even if you have, even if it looks like you're going to pass, you can't just say, oh, I don't need to do the journal, or I don't need to take the final. You have to do everything. That's the difference. So it's yeah, because otherwise people just don't do part of the requirements of the class. Okay, so we'll talk about this stuff when you get a graded paper. Okay, how do you pronounce this word? Etiquette. And what does that mean? What's etiquette? Class etiquette. So it says you are expected to be considerate of the instructor and your classmate. Can you imagine what that word means?
Like manners?
Yeah, it means manners, behavior, your classroom behavior. So again, this is pretty standard. If you feel that, like I say, if you feel like you cannot abide by these rules, you're welcome. We do have plenty of room in the other sections of the semester, which is unusual. Okay, I cannot allow food or drink. That's not my rule. It's the NPC rule. So if you do go out and buy something during the break, you can't bring it back in. Okay? Technically, I'm only supposed to allow water. Technically, I'm not even supposed to allow water, but I have one in a what's called a this is not technically a non-spillable bottle. It's supposed to be like the one William has over there that has a cap on it, but I'm not going to worry about that. If water spills, it doesn't really make a mess. Okay, but no food. Okay, again, here's the new cell phone rule. It's not wise if you wish to learn and pass, and it's also just plain disrespectful. So if I see cell phones, I will come collect them, okay? Electronic devices. Now, this is where I do want to mention, I asked you on your questionnaire, are you a supportive services student? If you, supportive services is now, actually they changed the name, but here's what it's called now. I have this little list I want to show you. This just brings up this discussion I want to have with you about the resources that are available to students on campus. Supportive services is now called the Access Resource Center, which I think does not explain so well. It means nothing to me. I think this name really explains better what it does. It supports students, okay? But they want to be called the Access Resource Center. So you have an ARC counselor for supportive services. I'm going to probably keep calling it supportive services. I've been here for 25 years, and all that time it's been supportive services. And that's what it says here. If you wish to use other electronic devices, you need to be registered with supportive services, so you need to go over there and talk to them. You need to get a written clearance from them to give to me. Sandra, you notice, has a video camera. She has that, and her interpreters are also here because supportive services sent me a form at the beginning of the semester that said, this student is going to be in your class, she needs to have these things. Technically, by law, I can't allow her to have those people because by law, the teacher is required not to give one student any advantage over another student. So the reason they're here, of course I would let them do it, but legally, supportive services is the ones who arrange these things, okay? So if you feel that you need to bring a video camera or bring a tape recorder, I've had people use tape recorders to take lectures, or bring a laptop, I need to have that written clearance, okay? So I can't allow other devices in the room. You know, until we get to a place where NPC provides everybody with laptops and requires you to have them in classes, I have found that students say, oh yes, I'm going to use this for notes, but then pretty soon I notice they're back with their friends giggling over something, and they are not taking notes, they're doing something else, okay? If you need to leave the classroom, if you have to, you have to, but try to, you know, not be going in and out of the time. The bathroom is down on that bottom floor of the building. If we do have people who are talking, I will try to move them to a different seat. Need to take notes. We'll talk about taking notes. Cheating and copying. Everybody knows what plagiarism is, right? Okay, in this class, this business of the research paper, that's a lesson in plagiarism and how it happens and how to avoid it, okay? We're going to talk about that when we get to the research paper. Usually in college, when somebody says plagiarism, they're probably talking about somebody plagiarizing in a research paper. But I also consider cheating on homework, quizzes, whatever, plagiarism, okay? So just be aware, if that happens, you'll get deemed for it. And then if it happens again, I'm required to send you to the Vice President of Student Services for disciplinary action. And believe me, I have had that happen in this class more times than I have liked to do. But I have to do it. That's the rule. Okay? Okay, so the bottom line is do your own work. That's all you have to do. Really, the whole thing that this is, what this says, if I were to write a summary of this, which we do in the reading classes, you have to be here, you have to do the work, you have to do your own work, and you have to do your own work. That's all it says. okay? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to give you is, now the green sheet, like I say, that's an important information. You have to keep it where you can get at it. And I may refer you to it. Yes, Sandra.
I have a question.
Yes.
About note-taking.
Yes.
Do I have to ask you permission to ask someone to take notes for me, or do I need to ask the students?
If you know someone in the class and you want to ask them, that's fine, but you can also go through supportive services. The only thing is I might tell them the same thing that I told them in the other class, is that people, I think, people in here, how many people are really clear that if you took notes in this class, you would have exactly what went on in the class? Okay, Cynthia, can you take notes for Sandra? Can you just let her copy your notes? Okay, yeah, Cynthia back there in the back with the black sweatshirt.
Which one? Can you raise your hand, please?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, what happens is,
Okay.
yeah,
I'll get
because,
paper from
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
'Cause
that's
I wanted to
good.
ask you just in
Yeah,
case, because
that's
of
good.
last semester with you.
yeah, thank you, Cynthia, for doing that. That largely, I find that people in the 300 level classes are kind of unsure about the notes, but definitely, and you can do that. We'll talk about taking notes. Every once in a while, I say, well, you should have this in your notes. Okay. I will also give handouts, and a lot of the stuff is either in the textbook or on the handouts. Okay. Okay. Now you will want to look at this handout more often, because this is where you have all the assignments. Okay, so this is called the syllabus. That word is a specific, it has a specific meaning of what's going to happen in a classroom course, okay? You don't generally say, well, I have my syllabus for my day today. You probably say, I have my list of chores for what I have to do today. This is specifically has to do with classes. So homework is due at the class meeting after it's assigned. That's it. This is different from the other class meeting you used to. Again, I'm going to kind of experiment with online submission of homework. If you want to do that, that's fine. The only thing about that is my method for doing homework is to have you go home and do it. We introduce it in class briefly. I give you a brief introduction to the concept. You go home and work on the homework, and then we usually spend time in the next class meeting talking about it and going over it and giving you a chance to make changes. So that's the thing I'm thinking about with submitting it online, is then you don't have it in front of you to make any changes the next day. You can type it and print it out if you want and bring it with you. You can see how it works when we get there, okay? Here's another new thing. I found that last semester I was spending an unbelievable amount of time trying to match up homework and other work with no name on it to the person's handwriting. And I just don't have time to do that anymore. So my new rule is if there's not a name on the paper, it doesn't get a grade. What I'm going to do with it is I'm going to stick it in the box outside my office door. If you want to come and look for it, that's fine, but if it doesn't have a name, it doesn't have a grade. Okay? If I make any changes to this schedule, and I very rarely do, the only change that I usually have is I have some kind of page number wrong in the homework or something. But I don't usually make changes like saying, we're gonna move this assignment, you know. But if I do, I will announce it in class, and I'll ask you to get this out and make a change. I mean, we'll change the one that's online. Okay. So this is what we're doing today, introduction to class. I'm gonna have you do a little assignment, okay? You do have homework in the book tonight. So as you can probably guess, we're going to start out with getting started, the fundamentals, okay? So what they're talking about is the fundamentals of academic writing. How many other kinds of writing have people done? Can anyone think of another type of writing that you've done?
Creative writing?
Yes, there's creative writing. What else?
Like imaginary writing? Like
Which?
imaginary writing?
Yes, I think that would come under imaginary. Yeah. Something that you're poetry or a story that you're writing, a novel, a screenplay, okay? Anybody, what is it, what am I'm gonna do when I have you keep this journal? What kind of writing is that? Are you ready? Okay, good. That is called free writing and also can come under personal writing. So that may not be creative. Your free writing may be something that happened to you today, so it's not, it's true, okay? But that's called personal writing. And this would also take into account your texting, your emails, anything you write that's just telling your friend what you did. That's all writing. That all counts as writing. So I know you guys have done writing. This is what the journal is going to be. And I think Cynthia's answer was good because one of the reasons I use the journal in this class is to give you a place to do some of this while you are being given all these rules and regulations that you have to follow when you do this, okay? So on this list of types of writing, there really aren't a whole lot of other different types of writing. There's a theory that says you can put all kinds of writing, even a grocery list, into one of these categories. The other type would probably be
Like note-taking?
What?
Like note-taking? That
Okay,
kind of writing?
note-taking, I think, that's a good point. I think note-taking probably comes under academic. If you're taking notes in a college class, that's what we need to talk about. And that's why I say that, I'm not saying nobody in here knows how to take notes, but what I'm saying is I'm not sure all of you are perfectly comfortable with saying that what you write down is going to be exactly what went on, okay? But we're going to work on that. And one of the things you have to learn in taking notes is how to follow what the teacher's saying to get it down into an organized lesson, okay? That's not easy. However, when a teacher does something like this, starts to put a list on the board, that's probably a good thing to have in your notes. Does that make sense? Because the teacher's trying to say, okay, here's my lecture, here's my list of stuff. So there's another type of writing that's called business writing or technical writing. See, I need to write over here. I have all this board. I'm trying to move over this way. Business writing. Say you get a letter from your insurance company or an email from your insurance company. It says, you have not paid your insurance bill. Insurance on your car is now canceled, okay? But you know you wrote that check. So you're going to write back to them. What are you gonna say? What kind of email are you gonna send them?
Like the IRS, like if they contact
Yeah.
you, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So if you respond to them in writing, you can't write the same way that you do in your personal writing or your creative writing. You have to take a slightly different tone.
Right, you have to write more professional, right?
Yes, exactly, good. And that's another name for it, professional writing. Okay. And the last one is this. And there are people who, and I agree with them, people who say that every type of writing in the world can be put into one of those 4 categories. Okay? So you know what creative writing is. Stories, movies. You know what personal writing is. Something you're doing just for yourself. Maybe nobody else is going to look at it. Maybe your personal writing at some point turns into creative writing or into academic writing. And then there's business writing, which can be called professional. Okay? The stuff I do when I write this would be considered professional writing. Okay? And then there's academic writing. So this is what we're dealing with. Okay? So what we have to figure out is, what is it? If we can define all those other types, does somebody want to give a stab at defining, how would you define academic writing? Yeah, so that's what we're in here to learn. That's what I want to call people's attention. Basically, it could be said that academic writing is the writing you do for school, any writing you do in school, okay? What the underlying definition of it is that you are going to learn how, and that's when we get back to this, you're going to learn how to do this process of writing, okay? With your creative writing, your personal writing, you don't necessarily need to go back and make changes and make sure it's great, okay? With academic writing, you do. Okay, we're going to learn to build an essay. Some of you are familiar with these words. An academic essay has a very formal shape to it. It always has an introduction, it always has body paragraphs, it always has a conclusion. This stuff doesn't necessarily. This stuff probably should have a little more formal. You write to your insurance company, you write to the IRS, you need to say, here's what happened and here's what I want you guys to do. I sent my check to you in January. I want you to reflect back in your records. Okay? And here's the proof. Send them the cancel check. Okay? We're going to learn how to do this. We're going to start off writing a paragraph just to make sure that everybody has the idea of what a paragraph contains. And then we're going to move very quickly into writing short essays, and then they're going to get a little long. Okay? As we do that, we're going to look at these different ways to write an academic essays. Academic essays are very specific formats. And these, just to kind of make you feel easier about learning outcomes, the strategies for developing essays, that's this. Anybody know what that word means, rhetorical strategies? Has anybody heard that before? Have you ever heard somebody say, that, oh, that's just a rhetorical question? Have you ever heard that phrase? Or somebody says, oh, that's just, he's complaining, but that's just rhetoric. You ever heard that? It basically means, if you say that's just a rhetorical question, okay, means a question like, and my mind is going totally blank. Can anybody think of a rhetorical question?
Means that the conclusion comes with whatever you're saying.
That, and say again?
Whatever you're saying, you have the conclusion there also.
Okay, yeah, that it's already answered. Okay, the question has already been answered. You're just posing it for argument's sake, is what it means. You're just posing the question for argument's sake. Basically, that word argument is what we're going to do. You notice I have these little words written out here. Argument and analysis. You are going to be writing papers for the sake of writing them. Okay? You are presenting your argument. And there are different ways to do that. You don't necessarily want everybody else in the class to come around to your way of thinking, but here's the way you see it. Okay? And you need to have, obviously, you need to have some good reasons for why you think this. Okay? That's what academic writing is being able to put your idea forward in a formal way, in a way that's recognized by other academic writers, and be able to say, here's why I think this. Okay? One quote that I always like for this class is, the most important result of an education is that you are able to listen to any argument from somebody else and not lose your temper. Have you ever heard that quote? And that's kind of what we're doing here, because not only are you learning to present your argument, backing it up, giving facts, telling why you think this, you're also able to listen to other people in the class and what they think, and your mind is not saying, that kind of is making me mad, but it's saying, okay, this is what he thinks, but I have other evidence that proves something else, and I can discuss it with him. We had somebody in the class last semester who was a very strict, and we may have people here this semester too, a very strict, strictly religious, Christian religion person. And he wrote all his papers about how, you know, people should do this, this, and this. People shouldn't get tattoos and shouldn't do this. And there was one guy in the class that sat in front of him that was covered with tattoos. And obviously, you know, he's still a different person. But by the end of the semester, they were reading each other's papers and giving advice and saying, I think it would be stronger if you argued this. And they didn't get mad at each other, because that's what this is about, is being able to support your arguments logically. And
just being not closed-minded.
Exactly, and not be closed-minded. And we are going to read each other's papers. We're going to review each other's papers. And one of the things you want to do is not say your idea is wrong, but I think if you want to support that idea, you could have some stronger reasons for it. Okay? Yeah. So that's what academic writing is about. And like I say, as you go on into 1A, English 2, I hope some of you will go on to a bachelor's degree and then to a master's degree. You'll find that you're sharing those ideas with people in other parts of the world. And that's what we want to prepare you to do. Okay? Okay, let's take a break. Let's take a short break. Let's take a break until 11:15. Probably I'm not going to give you the whole time, but let's take about a 8 to 10 minute break. There's nobody wants to add.
It's 11:08. It's 11:08 right now.
Yes, so let's go till 11:18. We'll come back at 11:18.